Okay, this is spring test 7 from sections 1-1 all the way through 7-6. Solving systems of linear inequalities. We're picking up, this is part 3, picking up at number 16. 16 says an electronics store makes a profit of $72 for every standard CD player and $90 for every portable one. The manager's target is to make at least $360 a day. So it says write an inequality that represents the number of both kinds of CD players that can be sold to reach or exceed the sales target. When it says at least, that's one of the key phrases that you have. Anytime you see that number at least, that means greater than or equal to. Think of having to go, when you go into the movies, we use that example, you needed to have at least $20 to go to the show. If you went there with $19, you might not be able to get in. But $20 will be able to get you in and get the drinks and all that stuff. But at least, just think of at least has to be greater than or equal to. It says write an inequality for both of them. To exceed the sales target, let S represent the number of standards and P represent the number of portable CD players. We're going to make a little change on that, and we're going to call S X, and we're going to call P Y, just so we can graph it in things that we're more comfortable with. So if we have $72 for every standard CD player, that means $72 times each standard CD player. That would be times S, or in this case, we'll call it times X, plus $90 for every portable. That would be 90 times P, or in this case, we'll call it 90 times Y. So if you add, you don't know how many standards and you don't know how many portables they're going to sell, but we know how much we'll get for each one, and we know we got to make at least $360. So that'll be our inequality written just like that. 72 times X plus 90 times Y is greater than or equal to 360. Get rid of positive or plus 72X by subtracting 72X. If you subtract it from the left, you need to subtract it from the right. You're left with 90Y is greater than or equal to negative 72X positive or plus 360. Now get rid of 90 times Y by dividing by 90. If you divide the left, you have to do it to everything on the right. So Y is greater than or equal to, we don't have to flip the sign because we only divided by a positive number. The number 9 is going to go into both negative 72 and 90, so we'll get negative 8 over 10, and when you see those numbers, you can tell that there's another number that we could have used that was larger. We'll reduce it in just a second, but 90 goes into 360 4 times. If you cancel out the 2 zeros, 9 goes into 36, and I wrote 40 again, goes into it 4 times. And we can reduce that equation, we can reduce that fraction, Y is greater than or equal to, the number 2 goes into both. 2 times negative 4 is 8, and 2 times 5 is 10. So negative 4/5 X plus 4. So here is our inequality in slope-intercept form, in an equation, in a form that we can graph. Our B value of that form is 4. So begin at 4. So it says graph the inequality. Our M value is negative 4 over 5. Remember, negative 4 tells us to go down 4, and positive 5 tells us to go to the right 5. So down 4 and to the right 5 would be our second point. Our inequality says greater than or equal to. So that's going to be a straight line, not a dashed line in this case. So a straight line. And then what we have to do is we have to shade one side or the other side. You have to pick a point to determine. Remember, you can pick any point on this side or you can pick any point on that side. The only thing that you can't pick is something that's on the line itself. The easiest one always to pick is this one because it's easiest to multiply something times 0. So if we go back to this form of the inequality, plug in 0 in place of Y, we get 0. It's greater than or equal to. Plug in 0 in place of X. Instead of writing out negative 4/5 times 0, we'll just say anything times 0 is 0. Plus 4. So you're left with 0 is greater than or equal to 4. You have to determine the truth value of that inequality. 0 is greater than or equal to 4. That is not true. That is a false statement. And since it's false, everything over here on the 0, 0 side is not right. So it has to be everything on this side of the line is correct. B tells you to write 3 possible solutions to the problem. And you could have done anything. Like if we made a T-chart with that one where you're doing standards and portables. You can say, well, if he sold one standard, it could be 6 portables. That might work for him. So like if you go to one standard and then 6 portables, you can see where that point is right there. That is on the right side of it, so that'll actually work. The other one, and it should have been C first, then B. Another one might be 3 standard ones and 1 portable. If you go to 3 standards and 1 portable, look where that red one shows up. That's not on the right side. So that won't meet the quote of $360 for the day. And then another one might be, let's say 3 and 3. Like let's say if you got 3 standards and 3 portables, you go to 3 and then 3. Look, it's on the right side. It's on the side that's correct. So that would actually meet the quota. So this is a faster way to do something like that if you were to draw something like this. Number 17 says a doctor's office schedules 10 and 20-minute appointments. Then it says the doctor also makes hospital rounds for 4 hours each weekday. Suppose the doctor limits these activities to at most 30 hours per week. Write an inequality to represent the number of each type of office visit she may have in a week. Let X represent the 10-minute appointments and Y the 20-minute appointments. Now there's a lot involved in this problem. First thing you need to notice is that it's talking about 10 and 20-minute appointments, and then she doesn't want to go more than 30 hours per week. So you have to make that change. You have to make that conversion there. And then it says she makes 4 hours for each weekday. So you need to take 4 and multiply it by each weekday. It would be 4 times 5. So it would be 20 that you'd have to add to it. So you need to make 2 conversions. So I'm just going to write on here, I'm going to write 2 conversions, or 1 both directions when you're talking about hours to minutes or minutes to hours. And then you have to factor in both of them together. So I'm going to actually leave this one as a bonus for you guys, for those that y'all want to work on it. Other than that, it'll take a little too much explaining for what we want to do today. And it'll be on the test tomorrow. In fact, I'm not sure I'll put it back on the test. But if it is, this will be a bonus question. Number 18 says you have $39 to spend at the music store. Each tape costs $8 and each CD costs $9. I don't think y'all even know what a cassette tape is anymore. Y'all might have only seen one in pictures. Write and graph a linear inequality that represents the situation. So it says each costs $8 and $9 for tapes, and each costs $9 for CDs. So 8 times, let's say our tapes are X, plus 9, let's say our CDs are Y. It says you have $39 to spend. So you can't go over $39. So at most, you have $39 to spend. So that would be your inequality there. 8X plus 9Y is greater than, I'm sorry, I have that backwards. It cannot exceed $39. Cannot exceed $39. So it has to be less than or equal to $39. Because if you go to more than 39, you won't be able to pay your bill at the end. Okay. If we put this in a form that we can graph it, we wanted to say y equals mx plus b. So move your 8 times x term over. It's positive, so subtract 8x. If you subtract it from the left, make sure you subtract it on the right. 9y is less than or equal to mx, so negative 8x, plus 39, plus b. Get rid of 9 times something by dividing by 9. None of these numbers are going to act very friendly to us. You can notice. Divide everything by 9. Y is less than or equal to negative 8 over 9x. And then 9 goes into 39 plus 39 over 9. We're going to make an estimate when we actually do our B value for that one. 9 goes into 39 just to give us a decimal term where we can graph it a whole lot easier. You would do 39 divided by 9 would be 4.3. So about 4 1/3. So for our B value, we're going to be about 4 1/3 for that one. So where you're going to cross through is about not quite at half. You're going to have to do a little estimating on your point. So about 4 1/3. Notice it's above 4, but not quite to half. Then it tells you our M value, we can actually use that one correctly. Down 8 and to the right 9. So down 8 and to the right 9. So down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, it's right above the term, and I'm actually going to have to slide the whole thing over now that I'm looking at it. I'm just going to slide it all this way where we can see all the way to 9. Okay, shouldn't change anything you guys are doing. All I'm going to do is change that right above about 4 1/3, down 4, right above it, and then over 9. So your second point should be about right there. And again, it's about the shape of your graph as much as anything else. Less than or equal to would be a solid line as you graph it. So a solid line, and we're going to choose one side or the other side. Now, if you're catching on to what's going on with this stuff, you'll know that it has to be smaller than, since it says less than or equal to. But let's go ahead and plug in 0, 0 to make sure. When we plug in 0, 0 into our equation, 0 in place of y would be 0 is less than or equal to, if we plug in 0 here, anything times 0 would be 0, plus 39. 0 is less than or equal to 39. You have to evaluate that truth value. That is absolutely true. So you're going to shade to the same side as 0, 0. So your equation or your inequality will look like that. It says write and graph a linear inequality that represents the situation. Let X represent tapes, Y represent CDs. So as you look at this, if you want to read this, you can get, if you buy 3 tapes, like let's say you pick this point right here, if you buy 3 tapes, you can only buy 1 CD. If you buy 2 tapes, you can buy 2 CDs. If you buy 1 tape, you can buy 3 CDs. If you go over any of those, if you go, like let's say you bought 4 tapes, then you couldn't get any CDs, because look where 4, 1 would be. Like if you bought 3 tapes, you can only get 1. Like let's say you tried to buy 2 CDs, it wouldn't work. It's on the wrong side. That's what we mean by the shaded side versus the non-shaded side. Number 19 says find a solution of the system, and you have 2 inequalities to graph up there. They're both in mx plus b form. So the first one, b's value is 12, so begin at 12. Your m value of that first one is 3 over 1. Now, 3 over 1 means up 3 and to the right 1. If I do that, I'm going to run off my graph. Remember, up 3 and to the right 1 is the exact same thing as down 3 and to the left 1. Because if we put -3 over -1, that gives us a +3 as well. So down 3 and to the left 1, just so where we can fit it a little better, 1, 2, 3, and to the left 1 would be right there. It says less than. It does not say less than or equal to. So for this one, you're going to make yourself a dashed line. And we're going to shade one side or the other. When you plug in 0, 0, it'll tell you which side to shade. 0 and 0. So you have 0 is less than 3 times 0 would be 0 plus 12. 0 is less than 12 is a true statement. So on the 0, 0 side, you're going to shade everything this direction. The second inequality, y is greater than or equal to 5x plus 7. Your b value is 7. So begin at 7. Your m value of that second one is 5, which is 5 over 1. We can go up 5 and over 1. If we do that, we'll have this second point looks right here. This one says greater than or equal to. You have the or equal to term. So now it's going to be a solid line. And then we have to choose 0, 0 to see if it gives us a true statement or not. 0 in place of y would be 0. Is greater than or equal to anything times 0 would be 0 plus 7. 0 is greater than or equal to 7. Check the truth value of that one. It is not true this time. So since 0, 0 is on this side, you want to shade everything the other way. So when you graph this, look at the area that's overlapped for both of them. It's the area that's between both of the lines. And that is the solution of the system of inequalities. So if you just wanted to choose, like let's say you came up with your value x is -2 and y's value is 3. If you pick that point -2, 3, it would be a solution of the inequality. If you pick the number 1, 5, for example, and you pick that one, notice it doesn't fall between both of the lines. So that would not be a solution. So you can name an infinite amount of them. because not all of them will deal with integers. And we'll finish up the last few problems on the next and final video.